Your cosplay experience, it sounds so foreign to mine and to many others that I've grown up with or I've spoken to. Like it's so interesting just hearing it. It sounds like you're coming from a different world. But you mentioned cons, like you started hitting up cons pretty early on. Can you tell us what cons you've been to and what was the experience like when you first started to your most recent con that you've gone to before the world went to shit?
Oh yeah, well that was a while ago. So um the first con I went to, if I'm not mistaken, was Fan Expo. Fan Expo Canada. So it's like it was pretty good. It was a little it was like it was a lot. I wasn't expecting so much from that con because I never had been to a con before, and that was my first experience, and it was huge, and it was like so many vendors and things and cosplayers and guests and this and that. Like my brother had told me about it, and he usually, like, he's not a cosplayer. He goes because he goes to like panels, and he goes to meet like the celebrities and whatever, and he like shops and stuff like that. I mean, I think everybody does shopping, but he mostly is just like he's kind of like a comic book like nerd, as opposed to me. I'm more of like, what I am, a bit of like a weeb, I guess.
A
But
little bit, right? A little bit of a weeb.
a little bit, just hide the cardboard cutout in the background,
I'll
totally.
edit that out, don't worry.
um but I really I don't remember it so well. I remember bits and pieces of it. I remember not knowing any photographers and going I would always go to the photography booths that they had set up, and which was always very overpriced. And you'd only usually get like what, like 5 6 photos, but it was enough to kind of feed my Instagram for a little bit. But I mostly just, like, at that time I posted like selfies and stuff. That was my main thing, was just posting selfies or pictures that like my friends would take or whatever my partner at the time would take or anything like that. That's kind of what I remember. Um, oh, now that I'm thinking about it, I think no, Fan Expo. Fan Expo was my second, actually. Now that I'm remembering, because I just remembered the actual first time. The first time I had went to a con was Anime North, and very hot as always. This was I went by myself. I went just with my brother. I think, and I was dressed as a Hitalia character, America from Hitalia, and what a mistake that was, because, well, I only went for one day, but it's 3 layers of clothing. It's
Yeah.
a white shirt, it's like a brown jacket, and then it's like a bomber jacket on top, and I was dying. And I don't think anybody knew who I was, because Hitalia had probably been long dead by then. Now it's kind of coming back, but it's
Yeah.
like back then, it's like people were kind of looking at me. They'd be like, everyone at that time, I think, was like cosplaying like Voltron or Attack on Titan or whatever it was back in like 2017. So that was my real first con experience, and it was something. That's really all I can tell you. Fan Expo was good too. Fan Expo was better, but Anime North was just, I guess it was just weird because it was something that I totally wasn't used to. But I remember um, being pretty safe with my money, as opposed to now, where I would, if I were to walk in a con now, like, let's say that there was no, world going to shit. I think I would spend a lot of money at vendors and stuff like that, because now I have, like, well, I mean, back then I didn't have like Ita bags, and I didn't have like a huge poster wall in my room like I do, and all that kind of stuff. So I think that I would have I think I now definitely spending like hundreds of dollars, as opposed to then I probably spent maybe like $50,
Yep. That's
which
me.
is crazy.
Yeah. I have to admit that you're jumping into the deep end, it seems like. And when I started cosplaying, I wasn't super successful with it, but I also wasn't like hyper invested. I kind of did it just because I'd be going with a group of people and they would be cosplaying, so I wouldn't want to be the odd one out. And I do enjoy it, but I also know that it's very much something that you have to kind of lead into not only the character, but you also have to lead into the environment. And at the time when I was doing cosplay, it was a very different world. Like how you're telling me that a character that you love, at the time the series wasn't very popular, but other people were going as like Voltron characters or AOT characters. And like to me that's crazy because like usually the back when I started, I'm talking like Anime North like 2013, like
Oh wow, yeah.
Fan Expo like
You're
2011.
definitely a lot more kind of you're a bit more of a veteran than I am.
Yeah, I'm an oldie. No, I don't even think like I'm that deep into the scene because it really was like 2010 forward that I started getting deep into that culture. As much as I've always been into anime, but like I was saying, going as a classic character would usually be like what people would be turning their heads to. But it seems like you going as a character that's only maybe a few seasons older, you wouldn't be drawing as much attention. Do you feel that's the same way on social media as well? Like, let's say you went as a character from like Madoka or something, and like you posted that on your social media. Would you get as much attention as if you went as like Mikasa from AOT?
Gosh, I think not because I think now mostly what my account and what kind of my thing is now is Danganronpa. So I think no, because one, it's kind of a character like let's say it's like um it's more of like a character that I feel like a lot of my followers are more like on the younger side. So I feel like either they would know that from like, actually watching it themselves, which is pretty rare, or having like an older sibling who's watched it. But I don't think that they would know that character so well. And I don't think it would draw as much attention as my stuff does, and most of my Danganronpa stuff, or doing like I've done haiku or like like or just like a classic like like a Disney princess or um like Princess Peach or like Bowsette or something like that would, because it's because those are characters that are more kind of known to everybody as opposed to something that's more of a niche, which I usually honestly try to avoid doing so much of niche things, mostly because I'm just kind of like, well, there's not like a lot of more niche characters that I like. I'd say, I guess you could say my taste is kind of basic, but I usually don't delve into that kind of stuff. Therefore, it's kind of like I don't really do that stuff. But if I were, I don't know how well it would do. I don't think it would do too well. But I try not to focus so much on numbers as much as like the actual enjoyment of it and if I like it or not. So that's mostly what I try to do right now. I'm enjoying my followers seem to really like my Danganronpa stuff, and I really like doing the Danganronpa stuff, and I'm fine with keeping that as my niche, my thing. So I'm happy doing that. And when I decide that I'm not into it anymore or whatever, I'm sure it'll be, I mean, I'm sure I'm not gonna fall into like irrelevancy or something. Like I'm sure there's still people that are gonna trail along no matter kind of what I switch to or anything like that. So yeah, numbers aren't so much to me. I'm trying not to make it so much to me, but yeah, that's kind of that.